Live pictures from Chopper 24 over another construction site. And let's get more now on how the construction industry is handling the pandemic. We're joined by Richard Lyle. He's the president of the Residential Construction Council of Ontario. Richard, good morning. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So first off, just want to get your reaction to the Premier's announcement yesterday deeming construction an essential service. Are you happy with that?
Well, we think it was the right decision to make, all things considered. Tough call for the Premier, but a good one. We've got shortages of housing, infrastructure problems. We've got transit projects that are 2 years behind. We have a lot of things that need to get built. So the Premier did the right thing here. And also, I was going to add, there's about 35,000 units of housing that need to be completed. And, the people that need them are counting on them. So we need to deliver that.
I'm not sure how much you were listening in there in our chat with Cam Woolley. He was speaking to a construction worker, a scaffolder who's working on a construction project in the core. What would you say to someone like him who says, look, it's really hard to maintain this whole social distancing thing depending on sort of where your construction project is down the road. You got to have people hand you tools and work in close proximity with people. What would your message be to someone like that?
Well, Kyle sounds like a smart guy, and I think he is, as a scaffolder, trained in safety already. It's a difficult job. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy to maintain social distancing under those circumstances. It won't be, so they'll have to be extra careful, wear gloves, and follow our protocol that we've distributed to all sectors, and which, all sites will have to make sure that the workers and the management staff that are on site are aware of those rules. Coming back to what the Premier said, he was absolutely right to be upset about, I guess, the photos that were sent to him. Unsanitary conditions will not be acceptable on sites, and there has to be a heightened vigilance by all parties on that, everyone concerned.
You know, we're living in a time where it's really hard to say anything absolutely because we think we're operating under a certain set of rules, and then, things are changing so quickly, the needle moves. But our reality as of today is that construction has been deemed essential. I spoke with the mayor earlier this morning. Now, he says there's some discretion there. There's some gray area. Certain sites where it's just impossible to keep social distance, sites where workers have to work shoulder to shoulder to complete their job. He said that's going to be up to those individual sites and those managers as to whether they want to shut those down. Your take on that?
Well, and the workers, too, as well. I mean, if a worker thinks he's in an unsafe situation, he can refuse the work and not perform that work. And I expect that could happen in certain situations. Management is going to have to be vigilant about that. Part of our new protocol includes staggering shifts and trying to maintain distance as a requirement. That means, of course, that work is going to slow down and we're going to have lower output, but so be it. That's just something we're going to have to live with, because COVID-19 is not going to be with us just for another 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or 2 months or 3 months. COVID-19 is likely going to be with us for the next 12 to 18 months. And that's why a 2-week shutdown, for example, people that were talking about that, it wasn't realistic. So we've got a big job ahead of us to do in construction. Construction workers in the industry are very well versed already, though, thankfully, in safety matters, and all those current rules will apply. And then in addition to that, we have new rules concerning personal hygiene, protecting your family, on reporting illnesses, tracking sick workers, of course, as I mentioned, on communicating policies, practicing physical distancing. In some cases where that might not be possible, we're going to have to change our practices to enable that to happen. And then, of course, as the Premier stated, on-site sanitation, absolutely critical. And we are going to be upping our game on that. Our new protocol has been distributed as of last week. That was all sectors of the construction industry that developed it. and it was, of course, went to the IHSA, where you have joint labor management committees, and it was endorsed there.
Okay, we will leave it there. Really appreciate you joining us. That is Richard Lyle, the president of the Residential Construction Council of Ontario. And you heard him mention 12 to 18 months. I should qualify and say, listen, we don't have any accurate time frame. We don't know how long this whole thing is going to last, but safe to say it certainly feels like we're in the early days of COVID-19. We'll leave it at that.